Welcome to Saturday Morning Live at 11 with Sal Santori. And our special guest today is Miss Dawn Blauch, who is the County of Lebanon, Pennsylvania Recorder of Deeds. Welcome to the show, Dawn, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sal. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I'm happy to be
Glad,
here.
we're glad you were able to make some time to visit with us because some of the things that you're doing for veterans in your office are really fantastic, and we want folks to be able to learn about them and know how to get involved and benefit by them, as well as get the information out to other counties in Pennsylvania and beyond. What you're doing can be done in any county office nationwide, I believe. Is there any reason that that could not be done, do you think?
I'm not that I'm aware of, and most
Yeah.
of them probably are doing at least the recording of the discharge papers.
Okay. Let's get into that. Tell us about the program that you actually developed, recording the DD214s and how this all works.
Okay, well, Recorder of Deeds, they actually record all land records. However, since the beginning of our existence as a country or as a state, because I'm in Pennsylvania, it has been the recorder's job to also record veterans discharge papers, their DD 214s. Now it is up to the veteran to come into the office to record their DD 214. Um,
Can I stop you just a second, Dawn?
sure,
You you started out with some history that I wasn't even aware of regarding the Recorder of Deeds office. Can we backtrack to that and kind
sure.
of like how did the Recorder of Deeds come to into existence and when?
Well, there's always been a recorder of the land records. And
Okay.
like I said, they also recorded the discharge papers. That's been since before were formed as a country. Um, it has not always been an elected position. Today, it's an elected position. It used to be an appointed position. So it's a place where we're just a keeper of the records, a custodian of the records. So your
Uh-huh.
deeds, your mortgages, when you pay off your mortgage, any type of land agreements, that's all recorded in my office. If you go to purchase a home, there are people that they're searchers that come in and they search the records to make sure that there's a clear title to that
Okay, I've
home.
heard of that.
So they spend a lot of time in my office searching all land records. Now, the veterans discharge papers are not open to the public. That's the only record that I record in my office that is not open to the public. That is
So
solely for the veterans purpose.
so someone doing research for whatever purpose would not be able to come in and ask your office for copies, let's say, of veterans discharge
I I
records?
can only give them to the public if they're over 75 years old.
The person or the DD214?
The DD 214.
Okay.
All other records, anybody can come in and search. But
Okay,
the
but
DD 214s are only available to the veteran or the Veteran Affairs Office. So if someone came in and wanted to search, veterans records, they would not be able to do that. I can
okay.
only the record has to be over 75 years old for me to be able to give it to just anyone.
Okay, let's take a look at the purpose, the benefits of having the DD214 recorded. And I'm sure there are many, but could we talk about that a little?
Right. Well, the main reason is if for some reason your record that you have is destroyed, you can come into my office and within minutes show me your ID, prove that you are the actual veteran, and I can give you a certified copy of the record that you can use, say, if you need to apply for benefits for something and you can't find
Okay.
your DD 214, You can come into my office, and again, I check your ID, I make sure you are in fact the veteran, and then I can provide that to you. I can also provide it to Scott Core in the Veterans Affairs office. Um, he works with a lot of families. We do have a lot of situations where, unfortunately, if something, catastrophic happens to their loved one who happens to be a veteran, and the veteran themselves are unable to come in to handle the paperwork, and it's up to the family. If the family can't find the DD 214, Scott is able to search our records, find that information for them so he can get them and get the veteran the benefits that they need by, going through the family.
Okay. Now, we've been pushing very hard for reintegration reform, which is geared towards really enhancing the quality of life for our veterans and their families.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the big things is being able to secure VA benefits and how that, and I'm asking this, I guess, in a question form as a statement. um, how we have a veteran who's discharged from the military and gets home
Hmm.
and comes over to, let's say, your office as a starting point. Are you able to direct them to Scott Core to actually get their DD 214 if, in fact, they don't happen to have one to be able to initiate the application process, or how does that work?
Well, it's up to the veteran to record the DD 214 in my office when they return for service. So it's imperative that as a veteran, when you return, please make it a point to come into, and in Pennsylvania at least, every recorder's office will record their DD 214. So you should go into your local recorder's office, record the DD 214. If you do not do that, that's the only way I have the record. So if you do not do that, you, yes, can go to Scott Core. He has to try to get it through the federal government, and it can take sometimes up to a year,
Okay,
for them
that's
to
what we
be
need
able
to
to
know,
provide
right?
that. So, it's a difference of minutes in my office, or months or a year, going through Scott through the federal government to do that. I I've been going around to a lot of veterans events. I've been helping with a lot of veterans groups, and I always have people come up to me and say, oh, they lost their DD 214 or it was destroyed. They're hoping that it was in the office. The one lady had lost hers twice, and both times she had to wait over a year to get it from the
Okay,
government.
okay,
So she has now recorded it in my office. So if she has that issue again, she won't have such a length of time. And a lot of times you don't have, you know, the year to wait for your
right,
to
right.
apply for the benefits. So that is the real benefit to the veteran, that it's right there within minutes of reach. So when you need to apply for a benefit for something, Scott's able to get it for you right away, or, through Scott, through your family, if you're unable to do it, yourself. Scott, through your family, would be able to help you right away.
Good point. Good point. Um, is it the veteran himself or herself the only person who can register that their DD 214? Can a family member bring it in to register it?
So when it should be the veteran comes in, we check their ID to make sure they're the actual person that's on the DD 214 before we record it. Again, we also check ID. If you come in and request a copy of it, it must be the veteran that does it, or you go through Scott Core and he can get it for you. He has his own process of verifying that you're a family member and that there's a veteran in need of applying for these benefits. So,
Right. Okay. Not to belabor a point, but let's take an illustration of a veteran who becomes disabled and incapacitated. Um,
and
is
that's
the
what
is
that's where I'm talking about. That person's now unable, to
okay.
apply for their own, and they got to depend on their family, to help them out. So the family comes in, they talk to Scott Core. If it's recorded in my office, he has that, he can search it right there while they're in talking to him about the needs for the veteran, and he can know, oh yeah, I have it. Let's get this paperwork started. We'll get your benefits to you as soon as we possibly can. And so it gets the process started much faster rather than having to wait till he can prove that they are in fact entitled to these benefits.
Right,
He has
right.
the information right there at his fingertips.
So the strongest urging we can give to veterans as far as reintegration and helping that whole process along for them and their family is to get that DD 214 recorded uh,
Yes,
as soon as possible, as soon as they're able, even if it doesn't appear as though at the moment there's a reason, a need,
exactly.
still do it right, still do it so it's there. It's in an indestroyable location, I guess we could say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, our
You
records are backed up, you know, but again, they're still not open to the public. So,
right. So
um,
we're not talking about microfiche anymore, right?
no, no, I'm actually in the process. I mean, believe it or not, up until about a year ago, I mean, we had digital records, but we still backed everything up with film. So,
Okay, okay.
um, and in the past year, I've converted everything over. I'm getting ready to finish out that process. Like we converted everything to film, and it was stuck in a mountain somewhere for protection. So I'm converting everything to digital. I'm complying to the records. You have to have three different backups
Oh,
to
okay.
be make sure that you're not going to lose anything. So I am in the process of switching everything over to digital at this time. But
Okay.
but yes, it's backed up. The records will be there, and we also still have that film. So
Right. Okay. We'll always
I'm
have
not
the
going to
film.
destroy the film. I'll hold on to it.
There's also the business and
Yes.
aspect to the program that you developed. Can we
Yes.
go into that a little bit?
So it was actually the recorder before me had started the Lebanon County Veterans ID program. And what that is we could reach out to local businesses. We're encouraging them to please offer discounts to veterans. If you come in and you record your DD 214, we'll give you a little ID from Lebanon saying that you are, in fact, a Lebanon County veteran. And then you can produce that card to local businesses that are participating and giving discounts to veterans to receive your veteran discount.
Now, is that being promoted? How are we in getting
I've
businesses
been going
involved in that?
around to different events trying to promote it. I'm I'm getting a large response from veterans coming in and recording their DD 214s. Businesses just have to fill out a form explaining to me what their discount is. I have a list right now. It's a small list, but I'm working on getting more businesses involved with it. So I do have a list on my website. I continue to add to it as I get more. I am trying to get out and kind of like go door to door to businesses,
Mhm.
asking them to participate. So that's always a work in progress. I
Right, right.
I rarely had anybody say no. Most businesses are willing to offer some type of discount. And it can be, I have attorneys that just offer a free consultation. There's attorneys that will, give a discount towards, you know, drawing up a new deed or maybe, a will or something like that. So, it's all types of businesses. It's not just,
Right.
retail.
Right. And I guess the first thing I think of is food. You
Right, right,
know, yeah,
right.
being able to go in.
Restaurants and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Is
that's
there
what most.
any? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said that's what most people think right away. About,
Yeah,
well, I want to
yeah.
get a discount when I go out to eat, or
Right.
or to this, you know, hardware store or something like that. But there are
Yeah.
businesses that are offering discounts that, these are important things for veterans to do, plan for their future, by a will or something like that. So I'm grateful to the attorneys that are offering discounts on that.
That is great. And something we should explore to let people know because on a like a common basis, that's not something that would be thought of.
Right.
You know, I know at least I wouldn't. Not that I'm common, right? Um, but what I did want to point out is in today's economy, I think this would be fantastic to be available in grocery stores.
Right.
Uh,
I don't
some
have
of
any
our
grocery stores on the list, but I will work on it.
okay, yeah, I would think reaching the. In fact, I'm like putting this on my to-do list as we speak to contact some of the corporate offices of our local chains,
Right.
Redner's, Wise's. Yeah, I think it's a great program, and
It
I'm
is.
thinking they would be happy to be involved. Um,
Yes.
and
And
also,
I do have literature that I can share with the businesses that, they can put in their storefront, a poster that they can put in their storefront showing that, they are offering this discount to veterans to try to draw veterans in, to their businesses and
that was actually my next question.
yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, what do we have to be able to do that? So when it comes to the benefit for the businesses, obviously it's patriotic,
yes,
to begin with. And second of all, I would think their
clientele,
participation, right, would encourage traffic,
right,
encourage folks to come in. And that's with any business, like you mentioned, the attorneys, for one. And that's a fantastic need when it comes to estate planning.
right.
Like you had mentioned, wills and things like that. Um, your advanced life support directives, things like that, and just making sure that the family's on the same page as far as availability for records, for paperwork, for decisions.
The more I's you dot and T's you cross, the better it is for your family when it comes time to them having to help you with something. Yes.
Right, and that's a reality that's not always a desired situation. It's not something folks want to look forward to and say, "Gee, I think today I'll make sure and take care of this, and
It's
I'm
not.
happy to do so."
Unfortunately, I've had to deal with this with my brother who was younger than me,
Okay, okay,
who is a veteran, and I lost him 2 years ago to cancer. But I went through the whole process of helping his wife, trying to get the benefits that he, was deserved through. Scott Core was a huge help with getting that done for him. He ended up in hospice. He was in hospice in house at the VA. Um, and I mean, they were absolutely wonderful. But it's not an easy process. And the more you have things put together, the easier it is for your family to be able to help you and then still be there to support you. It opens up more time for them to be there to be with you in your time of need.
you just brought the purpose of this broadcast and our together on today's show right into view. You nailed it. The preparation and the being able to have the foresight to get things situated so that the goal is to have the family only needing to grieve, I think is really what we're talking about. You're able to to tell us how important that is. Basically having experienced that, and that's the part I wasn't getting.
Right.
I'm always bluntly honest on the show,
Yes.
and that is something that until now I have not gotten.
Right.
It just
I
hasn't.
had one of my neighbors had reached out to me not long after I had taken office, and they needed help. Their father, who was a veteran, was in need of nursing care, and they were having a difficult time finding a place. And mom was still in the home, so they needed to be able to keep the home, but also provide the care that dad needed. And I was able to help him, acquire the DD 214 through Scott, get him hooked up with Scott to get um, the paperwork started. And I mean, he was working on this for months, trying to, because he couldn't find his dad's DD 214. So he was working on this for months, trying to go through the federal government to get what he needed to get, to apply for everything. And once he finally reached out to me, we found the information that he needed and got it rolling. And then he was able to actually focus on his parents' needs, his father's needs, and let the rest of it, they got him into I believe in the VA, in the home at the VA, which again it's remarkable what they have in the Lebanon County VA, the facilities that they have, and the care that's provided there. um, so I believe they had gotten him in there, and mom was still able to stay in the home, and um, all because the DD 214 was recorded. And it was
Okay.
actually not recorded. I'm going to bring this up. It was not recorded in our county.
Okay.
His
Good.
his father, when he served, lived in another county. When he came back from service, he recorded it in the other county. So I did reach out to the other county recorder and found that it was in fact recorded there. So I would say to veterans, if you move to a different county, that's the first place they're going to look when, where you're currently living is where they're going to look for your information. So even though it may be recorded in a different county, I would still record it in the county that you are currently living in.
Right. Keep it up to date.
Yes. Yes. I've had several people reach out. Somebody from Georgia, the veteran, it was recorded in Lebanon County because that's where he came back after he served, but had since moved to Georgia. And he had unfortunately passed away. And they needed the DD 214 for him to get his benefits, for his funeral services. And it was not recorded in Georgia. They were working to try to, find it. They couldn't find it. As an afterthought, they reached out to my office, and it was in fact recorded in my office. So they were able
I,
to get it through Scott much faster than having to wait for the federal government to confirm.
many people call me slow, and I have to agree with them. Things come to me sometimes like slowly, but what I'm taking away from our conversation today is to actually include, and I know everybody's going to say, well, hello, dude, what do you think you've been talking about? Include prompting, if not instructions, within the reintegration process to have veterans come to the county courthouse, the recorder
Yes.
of deeds. Um, and regardless of what county they're in, that should be part of that packet.
Yes. Yes.
Do that. Because what we're doing with the reintegration reform is getting, we're putting together a request to have legislation done that will require the reintegration process to begin a minimum of 30 days prior to our combat veterans ETSing, which means exiting the service. So we want the process to begin while you're still in country before you come home. That
Right.
way, that right, and that way it's begun. You know, things are in place for when we come home. It's not come home and then begin to figure it out, because that leaves a huge gap and really increases the odds that that connection's not going to be made, which lends itself to a whole host of problems that we see ultimately in veteran suicide numbers and
Right.
divorce rates.
Right.
So
And most of the things that I've, have brought up have been like more end of life issues. But you do have, it's unfortunate, but you do have a great number of veterans that, are in need of benefits
mhm,
almost as soon as they return. So, and sometimes
yes,
they're unable to, you know, seek the information on their own. They need help. And that again is another good reason why, they should be recording their discharge papers as soon as they return. That is a good, I believe that would be a good ask for
yeah,
your
yeah.
reintegration program.
It would be
Um,
a great base coverer. Yeah,
yes,
build
yes.
that foundation
So
towards
one
right
thing I
there.
did not mention, which I should
Hmm.
mention,
Okay.
is everything in my office that I record has a fee to it, with the exception of the discharge papers. So the
Okay.
recording of that is free. So all you got to do again is come in, show us your ID, give us the DD 214. We'll record it while we go give, take your picture for your ID showing that you're a Lebanon County ID. I mean, Lebanon County veteran. And then, I mean, you're out within 5 to 10 minutes. So, and there's no charge to any of that.
That's very important to know. As you said, there's no cost, so it's not the type of thing where it would be prohibitive. So we can
Correct.
definitely right. Dawn, I can't thank you enough for the information that you've brought to the show today, and for our veterans and families. As we're moving forward, it's all about veterans and families. Uh, no longer just a veteran situation in any at any level. It's all veterans and families. So, how would people reach out to you, Dawn, to follow up from the show, or ask questions, or contact you?
Well, you can email me at dawn.blauch, and that's BLAUCH, at LebanonCountyPA.gov. You can go on to the Lebanon County website, which is LebanonCountyPA.gov, to go to the Recorder of Deeds page, and the contact information is on there. You can do a website inquiry or an email through there. You can give us a call at 717-228-4447. We'd be glad to answer any questions. Any of the people in my office would be able to help you with your questions and answers. And if there's, something more pressing than what we're able to help you with, we will get you in contact with Scott Core.
Great, great. Um, and you're located. Where's the courthouse in Lebanon
I'm
County?
sorry, we're located at 400 South 8th Street. It's the Lebanon County Courthouse.
Okay.
South 8th
Thank
Street
you.
in Lebanon. Yes.
Great. Thank you so very much for everything that you're doing. We really
Sure.
appreciate you, and thank you for the time
Thank
that
you.
you've
I
done on the show.
appreciate you. Thank you for your service. Anything I can do to help a veteran, I'm willing to do. So,
If you need to reach our show, we have a new email address, and it's very easy. It's secure first, SECUREFIRST .988.1. And the 988.1 are the crisis numbers for the Veterans Hotline. You will reach a person and not a phone bank by dialing so. So, again, we encourage you to use the email, or feel free to call me directly at 717 743-8769. And before we go, I want to mention a great organization that we've been working with called Veterans Promise. They were the founders were on the show last week, and we've got some great things coming up to work with them. So I encourage you, if you do have any needs, feel free to reach out. Um, the Recorder of Deeds, myself, or again, Veterans Promise. Just reach out to them. And as Dawn mentioned, which is very key, if it's something beyond our scope, we'll refer you and make sure you are not left hanging and connect the dots with you. So once again, thank you for joining us here on Saturday night morning live at 11 with Sal Santori. I told you I'm slow, man.
It's okay. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out and asking me to be here and getting the information out there to veterans about how important it is to record your discharge papers.
Thank you. And have a great weekend for all our viewers and listeners, and we'll see you next week.